right, welcome everybody to episode 26 of the Content Lab podcast. Today we're joined by Beny Watson all the way from Australia. Benny, how are you
Hey, my
doing
man.
today?
I'm good, my G. What's going on?
Good. I see you're saying all the things that you learn in the US. My man, my
Uh,
G.
it's it, bro. I learned a few things. And I'm taking them home. I took them home with me, and man. It put a smile on my face. You guys just teaching me things, and I was teaching you some Aussie slang as well.
Yeah,
But everyone
yeah. It
just
was
looked at me like with two heads. It was like, oh, okay.
it was a, it
Didn't
was a great
understand me.
time. It was a great time
It,
for sure.
it was
Do
super
you
fun, man.
do you find that people have a hard time like understanding your accent whenever you come here to America?
Not really understanding my like what I say, but it's more so like the slang and the things
Yeah.
that I would say. Oh, he's just little things like a little quotes, for example, like, oh, that's as tough as nails, that is. And someone will be like, it's what? It's like,
Yeah.
it's bloody hard.
Yeah.
That's how we mean
Well,
by
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
bloody
Yeah.
hard. But there's a couple of things where a couple of people actually said, you speak really fast. And like, you need to slow down. I was like, Aussies are the laziest people when we speak. We abbreviate everything and we speak and do everything just with zero pace.
Yeah, I
So,
love the accent.
thanks,
Um,
man.
dude, so you have a lot of stuff going on in your life. Like you're a photographer, you're a model, you're kind of like an actor too. I mean, if you can call Survivor like an acting thing. So
Yeah,
for those that don't know, Benny was in a show in Australia called Survivor, which they have the same show right here in America, right?
yeah,
And he was in season 7. What was
yeah.
the name again? Blood and Sweat.
It's called Blood vs. Water. So
Oh,
we went in. Yeah, we went in with a loved one, and
mm,
it could go in as like with your mum, with your cousin. I went in with my partner at the time, and you play one another in your separate tribes. So it was fun. It was brutal, and like we starved and slept in the
yeah.
dirt and everything. And then you
Yeah,
also
tell
had
me
that.
tell me about that experience on the show. Like
Um,
how do you get the well, first of all, like bring it back to like how do you get the role to be there and like, you know,
my ex partner has a big presence on social media, and excuse me, she got approached by someone, one of the producers, and said, "Hey, like we want you on this season, and we want to go in with a loved one." And I was obviously there, and they put us on as like the cute couple, and we, I mean, it was so much fun. I had no expectations going into it, but when you got there, it's the name Survivor is a complete understatement because there's no toothbrush, no deodorant, no showers, no bed. It is you sleep in the dirt, and we were up north in northern Queensland in Australia, and it was like 48 degrees and like 100% humidity at 11 o'clock every morning, and you had to go out and do these challenges and literally beat people up to try and win, and it was crazy. And you go to sleep at night like in the dirt with no blankets, no nothing. And I mean that for me really like put my feet on the ground, and I was like, cool, like I'm here to play, here to have fun at the same time. But also every single person you talk to was trying to stab you in the back. So that part was like mentally draining. And then having my loved one on the other tribe was hard too, because you want to win everything, but you also want them to be okay. When you
absolutely.
come
So
to, yeah,
so everything is real, right? Like there's no like
there's
script or anything.
nothing scripted except for what the host says to you. Like he'll ask you like pointy questions, and yeah, you're so sleep deprived. Put it in great perspective. The first 3 days, we didn't make a fire because we couldn't, and so we didn't eat for 3 days, like zero food. And so, me being 6'4" and hungry all the time, I was so hangry that I was throwing my shoes. I was having massive tantrums, but
You're
it was
like,
all part of
this shit
it.
is real. I thought it
Yeah,
was a game.
it's like, where's my bed?
Yeah.
But all honesty, like I would do it again at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And I really hope I get another chance at it, because I got voted out literally halfway through. I spent 25 nights in the desert and loved every second of it. It was very emotionally draining. We'll touch on the mental side of things as well, I'm sure. But in regards to an opportunity in life, like oh gosh, I want to grab it and like snatch it and run with it again, like if it popped up. So I wouldn't take any of it back.
So there's a rumor going around that you're gonna be in the next Bachelorette season. Is that true?
Can't
Bachelor in
say
Australia.
that. Can't say that.
I'm just saying that's a rumor going around. I don't know if
you,
it's true.
you and Bennett want this to happen.
Yeah. So how was your life right after the show? Like, do you see any new opportunities coming to you? Like, brands reaching out to you to do any sort of like collab or anything?
Yeah, I had a few. Obviously, your media presence and things, jumping on TVs is huge, and it was great. Great leg up for me in regards to getting my following up and people knowing who I am, and companies that reached out to me, such as Lululemon. I've done a couple of campaigns with them in front and behind the camera, which has been absolutely like so much fun. Reebok, I was a core photographer for them, the Australian New Zealand aspect, and they loved it. The CEO Simon, he was over the moon when I said, "Look, I'm going away for a few months," and I couldn't really tell him, but he caught wind that I was on Survivor, and he absolutely loved it. But also like a couple of other brands that reached out, just saying like, "We'd love to work with you. Like you fit our sort of briefing, and you're a good human, and everything like that, and what we believe in." So it was really good to sort of know to be seen for a bit, and it was good. But in regards to getting my photography out there, my name, I never really rode those coattails. I always sort of stuck in my own lane, and I never want to be, I'm Beny from Survivor, even though the guys and girls from Active, I always say, it's Beny from Survivor. I was like, far out, leave me alone. But I wanted to be my own person. I didn't want to just be a guy from a TV show. And
For sure.
I've never wanted to be famous. I've always wanted to be well known for something. And if it's photography, if it's being just a good human and someone's going to help you move house or something, like that's what I want to be known for. And I never wanted to ride those coattails, like I said. So what I did was stuck in my own lane, like wholeheartedly, and I should have ridden it a little bit more, but what's come out of it is actually fantastic. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Did a lot of people start recognizing you on the streets, like walking around Australia, like,
yeah.
Oh, are you that guy from Survivors?
Yeah, I actually get a few, like when you're in grocery stores, a couple like moms and their kids like, oh, it's Beny from the show. Like, it still wigs me out a little bit. It's just like, I second guess myself. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's me. And then they second guess themselves like, are you sure? But I mean, I was 12.5 kilos lighter when I came off the show, and I had a massive beard. And they're just like, oh, you look different. I was like, yeah, I'm eating food now. Like, I'm good. Yeah. But no, it's pretty funny when you get stopped. And I'm in Byron Bay at the moment, and I was at a cafe the other morning. He's like, oh, what's your name for the coffee? And I was like, oh, it's Beny. And he goes, Survivor, right? And I was like, yeah, like it's been a minute since someone's recognized me. And he went on about like the stats about it. And I'm like, dude, I just want an oat flat white. Like, it's too early in the morning for this, but I love it. It's good fun. So
heck yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your photography. Just tell me, like, has this been a thing that you've been doing your whole life, or because now it's your full-time job, right? Like you kind of dabble into some modeling as well, but photography is pretty much your main gig, right? So you can tell us like how you got started and how like things evolved from the beginning, just like learning how to use a camera all the way until now.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I still don't know how to use a camera, but no, my dad was an old photographer. He shot film his whole life and had a dark room at our house growing up. And I mean, the amount of film that I've ruined, like walking into that studio, it's just like, he's like, no, like leave the door shut. And you learn very quickly like how to do things. But it's always, my dad taught me a lot in regards to, as cliche and corny as this sounds, is like to take a moment in before you capture it. And because like yourself, like you would know that I like showing people what I see and how I can crop an image on seeing somebody in the crowd and really cropping that image in and go, I just saw some emotion there and I captured it and I stopped that moment in time. And my dad taught me that. He said, appreciate that moment first before you push the button. And it really set in with me in regards to just creating something that someone can feel and creating a moment that is just going to be timeless. But then I was in construction. I've got 2 trades here in Australia. I'm a builder and a metal roofer.
Trades is the same as degrees?
It's a like construction degree. So
okay.
It's we call ourselves tradies over here, and it's like the blue collar scene. And I have 2 trades, which is 4 years each, and then a diploma in project management. So I was like in a suit and a tie and off on job sites, and I mean, looked good. It was great, but it just wasn't for me. I was in a little cubicle and just didn't like it. And my best friend Chantel, she was always like, you just need to be creative. You need to keep moving. And I always had a camera in my hand, but never like moved forward with it. I never had like a positive reinforcement for, oh, your photos are good. Not that I always seek validation or ever do, but I needed that someone that was like, you need to do this. And I'll never forget the day that I resigned from my job, sitting at that desk, and I was off to Bali in a week or 2. And my boss came up to me. He's like, oh, like can you reconsider going on this trip? Because like we've got a work function on. I was like, no, like I'm going over there to purely take photos. It's a good friend of mine's wedding as well. And I just really want to get creating. And the look on his face was, well, what do you mean create? Like, is it going to pay the bills? Is it going to, what do you get? What do you get out of it? And I tried to explain to him what I just told you. Like, I get to capture a moment. Like, it's fun. Like, I might not know anybody over there. It'd be good. And he just glazed over and was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you got to get back to these emails. And I was like, it's like, I said, mate, like it's not on for me. I need to go on this trip. Like, I can't have it canceled. And he said that, we'll reconsider it or something. And as we was talking at my desk, I actually printed off a resignation letter and I said, oh, before you go, can you sign this for me? And I gave him 10 days notice then and there. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I went to Bali, I spent 2 weeks over there, and I just fell in love. I was on my own. I had no work obligations, and I spoke to my dad every day, and I was like this, still to this day, I send my dad all my campaigns that I shoot. At the CrossFit Games, I was sending him, as soon as I finished editing, my dad was on the top of the list and like sending the link. It's like, how do you like these? And he'd wake up middle of the night, like, man, these are so sick. These are so cool. He's my biggest fan. It's so sick. And I was speaking to my dad in Bali, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. And he's like, why don't you? He's like, don't do anything rash, and don't just drop what you're doing. He's like, make sure you're secure, make sure you set up, and do things smart. So I went and worked for a mate of mine for a couple of months. And then my partner at the time was living up in Sunshine Coast. I was down in New South Wales, so down south a little bit, about 12 hours south. And I had a moment. I call them I don't know if we can swear on here. I call them a fuck it moment.
Yeah,
and,
you can.
And I literally called my mate up who I was working for at 10:30 on a Tuesday. I said, mate, I think we're going to the Sunshine Coast. He's like, what for? I was like, oh, my partner's up there. It's just nice and sunny, and I'll be back. He's like, yeah, cool. You got a job here, like whenever you want. And I packed my entire apartment. Packed all my camera gear, which I didn't have much at the time. And I just 6 o'clock the next morning, I just drove up. I didn't tell anybody except my boss. I called my mum when I was halfway, and I was like, hey, like I'm moving to Queensland. She's like, what? I was like, I just have a feeling that this is going to be something that's going to be great. And the whole drive up, I was like, what am I going to get out of this? What's in this for me? And the only thing that came into my mind was creating. And it was, you get to create a new life up here, but also you get to not just start again, but you get to do what you want to do. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt like Sydney for me, it's very anxious. There's a lot going on. We have a term over here called keeping up with the Joneses. And it's, someone's got a new car. You're like, oh, cool. Like I need that. Or someone's got a new camera. I was like, I need that. And you're always comparing, as we do in life, but I just had this feeling of I don't need to do that anymore. And I jumped in my own lane and I moved up the Sunshine Coast, and I had a little holiday fund, but that was when COVID was on. So we couldn't go on holidays, couldn't do anything. So I went out and bought way too much camera equipment. And I started shooting in May 2020. I got my first invoice paid. It was $300 for 280 photos for a coffee company, I believe. I can't remember the company. And I was over the moon. I was like, somebody's paying me for these photos. And they said, Van, we only wanted 15 photos. I went nuts.
Yeah.
And from there, I just found my look. I stopped listening to the noise. I stopped trying to keep up with people in regards to, I need to do that. It was more so, I need to work out my look, my niche, I guess. And then how can I do that better than someone else? But also have fun at the same time in regards to, as you know, like creating something that someone can see and look at a photo and go, oh, that's a Beny photo. Oh shit, yeah, like that's a Carlos edit, like for sure. That's exciting for me when somebody sees my photo without
Just
my
having
name
your
on
own
it.
look.
Yeah, have your own look. And I found that up in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and I haven't looked back. It's been fantastic.
Dude, that's sick. I love that kind of stories like that. And when you mentioned that you remember your first check, dude, I remember clearly like my first like shoot that I did, and it was for, well, actually like the first paid shoot. I was taking some photos for some friends. They were, I think at that point, yeah, they just got married and they just wanted to do like a little family photo shoot. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like we didn't talk about money or anything because at that point it was kind of like just for fun, right? So I wasn't expecting anything. So after we were done, he just hands me $100 bill and I was over the moon. I'm like, oh my God, like that feeling is like what you never want to forget, right? Like you do this stuff for fun as a passion, and then when you get rewarded for something that you really enjoy, it's like it's crazy, right? Like that
Yeah.
feeling that, okay, I enjoy this, I love what I just did. Like I just spent an hour or 30 minutes just taking photos of some friends, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And then they're gonna pay me too. Like what?
Yeah.
Right?
That's it,
Yeah.
man. And like speaking to my dad, I think his biggest paycheck that he got was a slab of beer, so like 24 pack of beer and $300 to shoot a wedding for, I think it was like 12 hours, and that was all in film as well. So he went
Oh
through
gosh.
a ton of roller film, and he said he was over the moon. It's great.
Yeah.
And I did a campaign, my first campaign with Reebok, and I told him the price, and he hung up on me. And he called me back. He's like, "Sorry, I needed a moment."
Yeah.
It's like, I'm proud of you, but I hate you at the same time.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, thanks, man.
Let's
But,
go back to your story about your full-time job. How long did you work at that job for?
I was a tradesperson I was in construction since I was, I'm going to say 17 until 2020. So I'm 34 years old. So I was like around like 15, 16 more years. And I loved it because I thought that was me creating. I was building things every day, and I was doing bits and pieces, solving problems. And then I get to have the afternoons free to take photos and do what I loved. But there was always that something. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that kind of stories too, because I know a lot of people are listening right now and they're going to listen. They're probably in a similar situation that, they, taking photos or making videos. It's like the thing they love the most, right? But right now they have a full-time job and they're trying to like figure out life. Like, okay, I'm kind of stuck in like my full-time job, my 9 to 5 is not what I love doing. It's okay, I pay the bills, but I don't see myself doing this my whole life, right? And I mean, people like you talking about that at the end of the day, you just trust it. You're like what Carly's saying right now, like you trust your own intuition.
Carly.
It like
I love Carly so much. She's
yeah,
my favorite human.
you kind of like took a leap of faith and you're like, this is what I want to do. And it's one of those things that you just have to go for it. Like don't overthink it, just kind of like go for it.
Just lean into it. Always, I say this when I have my talks on mental health and things. It's listen to your gut. Listen to your gut over your brain any day of the week, and you will come out on top, because it's a feeling. It's not a thought. It's not a cloud of anything. It's just like I guess when it's, let's put it in CrossFit terms, when the buzzer goes off, like 3, 2, 1, it's like, okay, I've got to do this now. It's such a good, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because there's no other feeling like it. It's ridiculous. It's like a first kiss feeling. It's like a first paycheck feeling. You need to follow that, and you need to find that moment and just run with it, because cliche, like life is too short, but it is so short, that if you're not happy in what you're doing, don't do it, period. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who puts your pants on in the morning. You're the one who puts yourself to bed, and only you can make yourself happy, truly happy. So if there's something that you want to do, if there's a hobby that you want to put into practice for a long term or a permanent thing, just there's always a way to find out how to do things. I was in a full-time job, and yeah, I had a massive moment and I quit that job, but moving to Queensland, I still had to work on the tools, and I was on a job site 3 days a week, but I did 12-hour days to get all my hours done. And then the 4 days a week, I wasn't grinding, I wasn't head down, but I never resented my creative space. I always loved it. And even if I did a 12-hour day and I was like, there's something missing, I would take my camera and go take a photo of a sunset or something. And I was always creating. I was always keeping that smile in here. Like it's something that I cherish, and it just keep it active. Never let it go in the shadows ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you do a lot of like fashion photography, right? At the same time, you kind of you also do fitness photography. And Kara's asking here, she asked a question. She says, how has your work with fashion and lifestyle photography influenced your photography style with fitness?
Oh, great question. And I love this one because after landing the Torian Pro in 2021, I was over the moon that I was getting to work with CrossFit Games. But again, coming back to our look, I have this quirky look of like these low angles. I'm 6'4", and for me to get these low angles, like I'm rolling around like in front of Khan Porter while he's on the ski erg, and he's laughing at me. And then I'm getting these just odd angles, and I got that from studio space. I got that from doing collaborations with some big labels, and I love that, bringing that look into the fitness world, because not only knowing the fitness world where I know what you want to sort of see, people be muscular, people look like they've got great form and everything like that, but also the quirkiness of a different angle. I guess in always thinking outside the box, and I've never boxed myself in when it comes to content. I'm never just in one circle of fitness or fashion or influencer life. I love to have my feet in a lot of doors, just because that's where I get inspiration from. Like, let's go back to Carly. Like, she's one of my biggest inspirations right now. Like, I love that girl to death, because the things that she's doing, I can't wait to see what happens next in life, and I can't wait to hear all about it. Like whenever we catch up again in the States or in Australia, just because she's moving in a direction that I love to preach. It's don't box yourself in, just create and pick the cherries from every single tree, because you never know what's going to inspire you. And so, for example, the Reebok campaign, they needed a brief. They had 50 shots that they needed. Again, I gave them 100. They paid for those extra 50 shots because they were so far left field of what they wanted, that they're like, these are amazing. They still fit with us. So they're just quirky. They're cool. They're fun. And I got them from CrossFit. I got them from walking around the streets of Bali, or walking around the streets at nighttime in a city, just doing the lifestyle shoots. And never box yourself in. Never say, I'm a fitness photographer. I mean, go for it. It's great if you want to just do that. But also, I mean, when I was at Torian Pro, I was reading a Vogue magazine because it just came out. I'm not even kidding. And not studying it, I was just like, okay, like, who's the photographer of this brand? Like, and a shot came up, and it was a wide angle shot. And that was, this year. And it's a photo that I put up of Tia with her tongue out. And it was just this wide angle shot, sort of like a strong stance. And she's just like, it was just a fun shot. And I'm like, I grabbed that from like Vogue. I put it in the fitness world, and Tia commented on it. I was pretty sure. I was just like, I love this shot. Like, thank you so much. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I mean, that's a validation I love, is that I love this shot. I'm like, cool. Like, that's all I need from you. But never box yourself in.
True. I've realized that my favorite photographers always do like other stuff too. Like they come from different industries, and you can see like it just there's more creativity behind their shots. Like they just don't take your normal like fitness photo. There's always like different like a foreground, even the colors, right? Like even the way
Yeah,
they edit their stuff, and that's a question I like to ask too every time there's somebody on the pod. It's like, where do you find your inspiration from? Like, because um everybody has such a like distinctive style, and you get people that they used to shoot weddings, people that they used to just do trial photography, people that just shot like friends and families, or just like traveling around the world, and then they transfer those skills, or that eye, like that style, into CrossFit, and you get something really special, right? Like something really
yeah.
cool and different,
Well, that's it.
which I love.
I do a lot of live gigs as well. It just so happens like they're good friends of mine. I just came off the back of one of their tours over the weekend, and I put fitness photography in that because most of them have the long surfy hair, and if I can capture a still shot and capture movement, people have said that then like your shots are like 3D, like it's just amazing what you can capture. You can capture the whole energy of the room. And over the weekend there was I think 750 to 800 people at this gig, and it was you could hear it. And I loved this shot because it was my friends having the best time, but I took a concept of fitness in a stadium sort of setting that it was just you just feel the energy in that room. And yeah, like you said, you're just putting it into different, putting the pieces together and creating your look, creating your style. So
Yeah. Now that the Instagram Reels is such a, like a big thing, and a lot of people are posting a lot of videos,
yeah,
I even appreciate more photography, because some like when I see a good photo, that it tells me just so much about just that moment, right? It's like a frozen moment, and that photo gives me so much like a different feeling, and it tells me so much
yeah.
that I appreciate that moment, like that photography, more than a 15-second video that at the end of the day, like it didn't tell me anything. It's so weird. It's like how just one image is gonna tell you more than a 15-second video. So
But
now
I,
even more than ever, I really appreciate like when people post stuff that I'm like, oh gosh, like this is so good, and like you know, uh,
yeah, when you can feel an image. I mean,
mhm.
my thing with reels, they're great. Like they're fun. It's what Instagram's doing at the moment. But the only thing I get out of reels, unless it is a very eye capturing,
Yeah,
like an image,
because there
is
are good reels too,
yeah,
obviously,
it's
but
amazing stuff. But the only thing I really get out of it is, oh, that song's cool, and then I'll save the song, and it's like it, and I'll comment on it if it's a friend of mine. I'm like, oh, sick, like this song's sick, like that's what I get out of reels at the moment. And I'm like, like I just need to keep posting photos. And I'm just about to do a post today from what the weekend was, but I'm like, oh, do I turn it into a reel or like a scroll of uh, images? And I was like, no, I need to pick my 5 top and do swipe across, like do a
yeah,
carousel. And it annoys me that Instagram's going down this route, but at the same time, like you, when it pops up on my feed of like someone taking an epic photo,
hmm
it's like nothing else. It's just like, oh, I was there. I could feel
yeah,
it. Like Bennett being over in Italy, like he was walking around taking shots of the scenery, and I was like, this is sick. Like I can smell
yeah.
the coffee. And you could just feel it, and it was really cool. Like, and we're our biggest hype man. Like we always chat, like same with you. It's just like these photos are sick, and like that's what we thrive off. It's like, thanks so much, man. Like you can feel something in an image.
Absolutely. I feel like a reel needs to like it needs to have some story behind to really like feel it, right? Like and we see it too. Like we see some reels are like they're very good, and it's because there's like it's just telling you a story, right? But most of the times, like people just post like whatever. It's just kind of like it would have been better if you like taking a photo.
Yeah,
It'll tell me a lot more. But I mean, at the same time, people are just following the trends, which
that's it.
it's up to them.
That's it.
um,
Every
yeah.
no, I
And
get that.
I wanted to talk to you about mental health too, because obviously you're
Yeah,
somebody that you're a big advocate for mental health, and you post about it often, and it's something that's very important, because obviously like there's a stigma that like, oh, you shouldn't, like that men shouldn't talk about that. Like if you're not okay, like
Yeah.
why, and you're somebody that really really tries to get the word out and like, hey, reach out to your friends.
Yeah.
Even if you see that they're okay, like reach out
Yeah.
to them, ask them if they're doing good, because most of the time you don't even realize, right? Like you see your friends super happy, but from the inside, they're
Yeah.
not okay, right?
That's
So
it.
yeah.
We have a thing over here in Australia. We have a lot of mental health um, campaigns and a lot of companies that support mental health. And it's not only men, it is women as well. But one that I stand by is that check your mates. And it's check up on the quiet one, check up on the loud one, check up on your roommate, your housemate, your best mate, your worst mate. And especially the one that you think his life or their life is absolutely swimming. I have a lot of friends of mine. If I'm posting a photo of me happy and at a gig and like having fun and at the games and things like that, I still have a group of friends of mine that will ask me how I'm doing and ask again, how are you really doing? And I, being an advocate for mental health, because I've lost way too many friends to suicide. Especially in 2020, I lost 3 of my close friends to suicide. And I was in Queensland and I couldn't cross the border to get home to 2 of their funerals. And that cut me deep. And I just said, something's got to change. Like it's, I need to utilize some form of platform. I need to work with the company. I need to not just to have that fulfillment. I need the word to get out there that it is okay to not be okay. If you're feeling shit, like don't announce it in a room, but tell someone. I know full well that I personally walk into the gym and it's one of my best mates' gyms. And if I'm not feeling very well, if I've had like a horrible day, just for some unknown reason, and it happens, I walk up to him, give him a hug as we always do. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm not that good today. He's like, all right, cool. Like, do your thing. Like, thank you for coming in. And like that, thank you for coming in, because he knows that me coming into the gym and grinding it out for an hour, hour and a half, like at that stage, I spend way too long at the gym. I'll be there for like 3 hours chatting. But he knows it's going to benefit me. And we don't have to talk. It's being in that space. But if I want to just reiterate, like it is so okay to not be okay. It's something that's dear to my heart. Again, going back, I lost 3 of my good friends to suicide, and it's got to change. I had a stat today that I actually looked up, and it is, this is hard to read. 8 Australians die every day from suicide. Like it's, and 75% of those are males. Like that is just phenomenal. I mean, it was triggering for me to read some stats today just on mental health. It's just ridiculous. There's 65,000 attempts for suicide a year in Australia alone. And when I say, and I use my platform for, and I mean it with my whole heart, that if anybody's going through some stuff, reach out, DM me, and if I don't get back to you, comment on a photo, say, hey, I DM'd you. I'll try my very best to listen. I'm not a doctor. I can't give advice, but at the same time, I will be that sounding board and I will reply. I will do my very best to try to fix it, but to point you in the right direction of where you can go, how you can do stuff, and what there is out there to help you with that. And I've definitely been through some very dark times. Over the last 3 years has been huge for me, absolutely monumental. There was a point that I actually took photos of all my camera gear, and I wanted to sell it, and I just wanted to go back on the tools. And I had a lot of suicidal thoughts because I was so lost. I thought that I was so alone. My family is down in the other state, and I was up here with my partner, which was great, but I just didn't feel at home. I didn't feel steady and stable. And that was a time of my life that I never want to get back to. I never want to wake up in the morning and not be able to pull myself out of bed. I was waking up every morning at 5:20, which I still do, but I was struggling. It was a very hard time for me, but I have tools now. I journal every day. I write a lot in regards to creative writing. I talked to my best mate, Ed, Ed Sutherland. He's seriously, if you have a best friend, times it by 10, and this is Ed. He's like, yeah, he has done so much for me. It is just, like, I tear up thinking about it because I'm currently living with him at the moment because a lot of stuff's happened. And I'm living with him and his partner and his 2 sausage dogs, and we work together. He's an amazing videographer. He's taught me a lot. At Blue Veil Films, he's the best wedding videographer. I don't care what anyone says. He's amazing. And he has taught me a lot about business, but he has like pumped my business up. He's my biggest hype man, and he's also been that sounding board for me that I can go over and just be in tears and call him in tears, and he's like, right, what's up? And he'll listen for like hours on end and just not want anything to come from it, nothing at all. He's just there. And for me, learning how to talk and learning how to speak what's on my mind was something that I had to overcome. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to do that. You don't have to write a script. You just say what's on your mind, how you're feeling. You don't have to know why. Biggest thing for me, especially coming out of Survivor, was I got voted out. I was home. I had a lot of time away from society, and I didn't know how I was going to be portrayed on national television. So that sort of worried me. That gave me anxiety, and I was like, I don't know. And that's okay. That's okay if you don't know what's wrong or how you're feeling or what it is that's triggering this. That's so fine. Like, it's so normal to not know. And it took me a while to sort of get to the point of knowing where my people are and knowing that I have people, knowing that I'm not alone. I felt like I was a pup chasing 2 tails. I was just like, I don't know, I'm spinning wheels, and I'm just going to go back to being on the tools. It was secure. It was easy. It was great. I don't know what I'm doing this for. And then, yeah, I found my circle and just started talking, and it's just phenomenal. Like, that's why I always do the rounds, as I call it, is check up on my mates. I'm sending them voice messages, and it's not just it's in my diary. I'm driving, I'll call you. And if you don't answer, I'll send you a message. And even if you don't reply, I'm still going to message you the next day.
Absolutely.
You have to talk. It's so big to speak what's on your mind.
I think it's so important to bring awareness to the topic too, because when you posted that, I just started thinking, like, yeah, I have so many friends that they just seem fine, right? Like, they just seem like they're going through a perfect moment in their lives. Obviously, like, whatever you post on social media, it's always gonna be good. And just by you posting that, it just made me think, like, I need to start reaching out more to friends and ask them, like, hey, how are you doing? Because at the end of the day, like, we don't know, and not everybody's open to talk about their feelings, and it helps so much because, and it's something I've been trying to work on too, with like just talking to some of my friends about like how I'm feeling, right? Because it's not easy if it's like, I've always been somebody super reserved when it comes to like my private life, my feelings. So and when I'm going through a rough day, I just kind of like just don't tell anybody, right? It's just kind of like I just keep it to myself. And I mean, lately, with obviously people like you and a lot of other people are just bringing awareness to the topic, it just kind of like, it's helped me like realize, like, you need to talk to people whenever you're not feeling okay, right? It's okay. Nobody's gonna see you as like that you're not a, like a man if you talk about your feelings, if you cry, and it's fine. And it's helped me a lot. I mean, I'm overall pretty, happy person. Like, I have a great life, but everybody goes through shit, dude. Like, everybody goes through tough moments, and everybody like needs somebody to talk to, right? So I really appreciate when people like you, that you have a platform and you just share that moment to people, right? And even not thinking about it, I've sent messages without thinking about it, like nothing about like, hey, how's this person feeling? I'm just kind of like open my text and I send one of my buddies like, hey, dude, I was thinking about you, love you, hope you're doing great. And his response after that, dude, it was like a big paragraph, like, dude, I needed this message so much, like, you have no clue. I've been having the roughest day of my life. Like, it just, I needed this. Like, thanks so much for like sending me this message. And we just started talking after that. And it was just completely random. I just messaged him because I was like just thinking about him. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send him a message.
That's it, man.
And that one message just can change like where that day is going for him. And who knows, it could be like where you know the like some people have other thoughts.
Yeah.
So just reaching out to people, and also like just you talking to people, it can also like help everybody realize like it's okay, like we can talk about all this stuff and it's going to be fine, and let's just keep bringing awareness to the topic.
Yeah, man, that's so good. And it takes 2 minutes out of your day, not even, to write a text like, how are you okay? We have I'm not sure if it's in America, but it's Are You Okay Day, and it was last 2 weeks ago. And I'm a big advocate for it. It's fantastic charity, and it's just does amazing things with amazing people. But I'm also an advocate for Are You Okay Day needs to be every day, and not just a birthday or a Christmas. It's every day. Just make a conscious effort to check up on someone. And it just came to me. There's a picture on Instagram. I'm not sure where I found it, but it was a picture of like this nice red apple. It looks like absolutely perfect, but there's a mirror behind it and there's a bite taken out of the apple. And it's like Instagram shows you what it wants to see or what you want to see. And that for me resonated because it's, yeah, like I post happy pictures and stuff, but dude, like if I am having a sad moment, there's nothing that's going to stop. I don't want to post about it and like have a cry for help, but if I'm not doing good, you'll know. And I'm again, massive on checking in with your mates, but I'm also massive on checking in with yourself as well. I always wake up in the morning, 5:20, and I do not look at my phone until it's roughly 6 o'clock after like I fully wake up, and I'm brushing my teeth and like I'm chatting to myself, and it sounds really weird, but you got to check in with yourself as well. You got to make sure that you're strong enough to support yourself for the day, because if you're not okay and you go out in the world and ask 15 of your mates if they're not okay, 7 of them come back and they're like, well, I'm not good. You're like, oh, neither am I. But then you don't want to say anything, and it really suppresses that. So if you're not doing good, it could be anything from you ran out of bread to have brekkie in the morning, or your coffee tastes bad, or you spilled something. It can be seriously so like irrelevant or irrational that you just need to make sure that you're doing okay as well, as much as you check in with your mates. But
Absolutely.
asking that question, are you okay? And sitting with that, if they've got something to say, can change someone's entire life. I posted a story, or I think it was, I'm going to say like October 2020. I lost a good friend of mine, and I put a story up and it was just saying, if anybody's going through anything, please reach out. And I had this girl reach out to me by voice text. She's like, Ben, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I hope you get this. I'm not doing very well at the moment. She left it at that. And I got back to her within the hour and just sent a voice message back. Hey, like, what's up? Can I help? Like, is there anything that's going on in your brain? Again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm here to listen. And she's like, yeah, I've been having really bad thoughts. I'm in a very dark space at the moment. It's just not me. I just don't know. And what I said back to that was, it's okay to not know. It is okay to be sitting in the dark and going, well, I don't know where the fuck my life's going at the moment, because truth be told, like no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. It's all up in the air. And I just said, it is okay to not be okay. And the voice message I got back was, I could hear her smile, and it warmed my heart. And we still keep in touch. She's a young girl down in Adelaide, and she's just like, we just chat, and she loves all my photos. She's like a big fan of mine. And I said, like, whenever I put an Are You Okay Day out there, she always like it. She's like, thanks so much for this, Ben. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, just checking in. And it's that for me. I'm not going to sit here and say like I saved a life, but to give that 5 minutes to that person was just something else. And it changed the way I think about the world, because everybody's going through something, whether you're super famous on Instagram or TV or something, there's always something. There's always something. A good friend of mine posted the other day, I think it was like 4 times that he's like, the waterworks started today. And it was a story of him crying. He's like, I don't know what it is. I'm overwhelmed. It's this, that, and the other. And I was like, hey, bro, just making sure you're doing okay. He's like, yeah, I'm just a bit overwhelmed. I'm doing okay. And then he posted again and again. He's like, and then I think it was the 4th one. He's just like, it is so fine to not be fine. And yeah, I got a lot of time for this guy as well. And he's got a massive, massive following. And he said the amount of positive feedback he got from that was just ridiculous, to say that it is okay to not be okay. But take 2 minutes out of your day and message. It can be a copy paste message to all your mates, and if they're not doing okay, they will tell you. But it's something that we all hold close to our chest. Like you said, everyone's reserved. It's like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody, but I love bothering people. Trust me, I'm a pest.
Yeah. And I love talking about this in the pod, because obviously, like you mentioned, like we're content creators, so we know how to take good photos, and we get good photos from other people. So at the end, like we post good stuff and everything looks great. Like our life looks like it's great. Like, but a lot of us like go through like, if you think about it, we're running our own business. We have second thoughts. Sometimes we go through stages that we don't feel creative and stuff like that. But on Instagram, everything looks really good. Yeah. So I love to talk about this on the pod, because everybody feels connected with that feeling, like, hey, I've been through stuff like that too. And then people that are listening, that they're just getting started in the industry, and they're feeling like, kind of like down because they're going through something like that. And then they see somebody like you, somebody like Carly or Vegas in the comments there too. And they're talking like, hey, like we've gone through tough moments where I think I'm going to quit. This is right. Like, I don't want to like keep taking photos. I just want to do something different. So this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because it some way also brings awareness to the whole thing, that it's okay, right? And I wanna share a message. I'm not gonna mention any names or the person that got this message, because it just kind of like obviously it's a very tough topic to talk about, but this person sent this message to one of my guests, that my guest was talking about the same thing. I'm trying to not mention names, so that's why I'm like thinking. That my guest was talking about the same thing, like mental health. And this person said, "You're so talented. I hope to reach the level of creative talent you have. The podcast on Content Lab was amazing. I just listened to it. I picked up a camera 4 months ago after wanting it to for 10 years. The podcast gave me a reason. About 3 years ago, I wrote a suicide letter. And I felt I was in a way because I was so consumed with other people and never putting myself first. After realizing I need to do what makes me happy, I started doing things I wanted. One of those things on my list was photography, and I'm now obsessed with creating and learning something new every day. Seeing content you and other creators put out makes me want to push even more. So thank you."
That's so good. I love that.
It's one of those things that you're like, just by us just expressing like the things that we're going through, like, yeah, like some of us might be very successful, but if we just let everybody know, like, hey, it's normal. Like, we all go through, even the most creative person, the person that you see photos and you're like, oh my God, this dude or this girl, they take the best photos ever. Like, they all also go through moments that they feel like they're not good enough, right?
That's it. It's everybody. Everybody's got something going on. There's one of my best mate. This is a funny story. A best mate of mine down in Melbourne. Never met him before. Never met him face to face. I call him every day, and he's my contact for Reebok. And like we just gelled. We gelled really well. And I called him when I got back from the games, and I was in tears. I was just in my car. I was crying. And I didn't know. I was back to that state of I don't know. And the first time I felt that was like just so alone was my exit episode in Survivor. I cried for 16 hours that day. I'm not even kidding. And I just did not know how I was going to be portrayed. I didn't know like who I could talk to, who I could go to. I ended up going to Ed's place, my best mate's place. We watched the episode. and I came off like I just wasn't sure how I was going to be portrayed, and I came off like the hungry nice guy, and I got voted off, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay, and that feeling went away. But when I came back from the States, I was sitting on this like a headland and looking out over the water and just chilling for an afternoon, watching the sunset, like listen to a podcast. And then for some reason I looked down on the beach and no one was there and no one was around me. And I just had this sense of like, I was so alone and I just did not know what was going on. And I didn't know where I was going. And like, I'd been to America where I was like, the games, like it was one of the biggest highlights of my career. And everything was slowing down. And I ended up calling him Mick, and I was like, and I just don't know. He's like, that's fine. He's like, it's okay to not know. And it's just sit in it, just be there. And then he started telling me, he's like, he's one person that I'm like, oh, he's got his shit together, you know, like people just think that. And he's like, no, like I've got a lot of shit going on. I was like, all right, tell me about yours. He's like, oh, like my dad's thinking of getting remarried. It's just like frustrating the shit out of me. And like, I started to realize that not necessarily he's got bigger issues. It's, you're not the only one. It's a thing. Like if you're not feeling it today, know full well you're not the only one. And it's just like, shit. All right. Like not just power through it, not just force it, but just know that you are not alone. I think that sentence there is, know that you are never alone in this. There's always someone who's going to listen. There's always someone that you can talk to. They might understand what you're saying. They might not. But at the same time, if they've got 2 ears, they're going to listen. And blurt it out. It might not even make sense. Just always know that you're not alone.
Yeah. That's another reason why I try to always answer to like every message that I get. Like even if it's some like, hey, love that picture you took. Like, you know, because at the end of the day, like we might not think about it, but some people might look up to us in a bigger way that we think. So that just answering to that message, it can lead to like, you know, so many things after that.
Dude, I know when I got a follow off you, I was like, oh my goodness, he's following me back.
Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you talking about this. And I know a lot of people appreciate that too. And it's not an easy topic to talk about either, right?
No, it's really not. But it is just, it's easy to have that 5 seconds of, I'm going to check up on this guy, or I'm going to check up on myself. So I can't stress that enough.
Let's see some of the comments here. Carly says, my heart, love you, Beny. Jonathan Ortega, great guy. He says, the man, the creator, survivor, Beny. The man, Vakey.
The giraffe and
so
tall
much
boys.
Yeah. Yeah, Vakey's pretty tall too.
Yeah,
Jonathan says, the stigma around men being weak or not being masculine because they cry or talk about how they feel and needs to be eradicated.
Please, I'm 6'4". I'm pretty big, but I cry at least 3 times a day. Yeah. If I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna cry. I don't mind at all. It's just make it normal. Like shit, if you're going through a tough day, make it normal, please.
Yeah, CrossFit Down Under says, you're doing amazing work on mental health front, Beny. Keep up those discussions.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's so nice, man. It's like I said, it needs to be normalized. It's I remember like I was doing a workout the other week and it was a 400-meter run. I hate running, and this isn't why I was upset. I just had a bad day and nothing was going right, and every time I went on the run I would cry, and I come back and my coach was like, Eli's like, he saw me and he saw me that I was struggling, but he knew that if I'd stop, I would be worse. So he's like, all right, man, come on, let's go. Like, let's keep going. Let's do some more. And it was, I did send him a message that night saying, I'm struggling. I'm not doing well. He's like, I can see your struggles. He's like, but I'm here. I'm your sounding board. Like, never forget that. And yeah, to know that you're not alone in your struggles it's a hard concept to grasp, but it's something that we all need to be open to. And shit, if you're across the other side of the world, like always, like you, Bennett, like all that, like Scott, everyone over there, like Carly, I was like, always here if you need, like, here's my number, call anytime, like gladly wake up. I can't remember who said it, was UFC fighter. I was like, I would much rather have my mate, a friend of mine, cry to me over the phone than me go to their funeral. Like it's as sad as that sounds, it's it can lead to that though. One day
Yeah.
can snowball into a massive amount of shit days. So
I think that was Patty the Batty.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
guy, man.
So whenever he started talking about that, I mean, these are all stats that I saw on Twitter. Apparently, the day after, there was like a huge influx on like the hotline for like suicide prevention.
Yeah.
There was a huge influx of people like reaching out and calling just because that one person in such a big stage, right? At the UFC,
Yeah.
he just spoke up, spoke up and said like, reach out to people if you're not feeling okay.
Yeah.
Like we would rather have you crying on the phone that I was going to your funeral, and then the day after, and it's just something that, as you were mentioning, like it needs to be more normalized. All
That's
right,
it.
Patty. Talking about patties. Talking about Patty the Batty.
Patty.
Patty Orr says, "What's next for Big Benny?"
Big Benny, man. Well, Patty and I need to catch up for lunch. That's what's next. But what's next for me? There's a lot of stuff in the works. I don't want to let up all my secrets, but I'm turning things up a notch down here. It's time for me to be so far in my lane that it'll be hard to find me for a while. I'm looking to invest in a bigger space, a bigger studio, open another one up down in Melbourne and Sydney, and also working with some big clients that it's just time to turn shit up a notch. And I thought, why not? One of my good friends, Wazzy, a guy that I know everyone over there has got a massive mustache and they're fantastic, but he has the best mustache in the world. And he said this one thing to me: if you're in your own lane, there's no traffic. And I stuck in my own lane when I came home from the States, and now I'm just onwards and upwards, just so focused, so driven that, again, have bad days, have super unproductive days where I do nothing. But the goal for me at what's next is, look, I don't want to say because it's going to be fun, it's going to be great, but yeah, working with some big companies, but opening a bigger studio space. It's just going to be good fun up in Queensland, and I'm all for the thing over here called the since when mentality. It's don't speak about all your goals, keep them close to your chest, and then those people, those naysayers will, since when do you do that? Like me, I went down home and so what do you do for a job? I'm like, I'm a photographer. Like, since when do you take photos? And I was like, since I've done all this. And, you went to the CrossFit Games? Like, you've done this, you've shot Australian Fashion Week. Like, that's ridiculous. And I kind of like feeling of, you got your group of people that you tell, but Patty, I'm not going to tell you all my secrets just yet, my man.
Dude, I just checked my DMs on Instagram. A bunch of people are asking me, is Benny single? Is Benny single?
Yes, I am. I am single. Is that Bennett asking that?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say any names.
I am single.
Yeah. How do you start shooting CrossFit? Like, do you do a sport before, or it's something that?
Well, I was used to compete, but not at like a Torian level and stuff. So I was down in Sydney around like a lot of gyms, and kind of knew a few people in regards to just like being a good bloke. But I did my Reebok campaign in 2020, and then Fakey actually got in touch with me. He's like, Benny, I love your stuff. I was like, oh crap, like this guy's pretty big, like in CrossFit world. I think it'll be cool. And I shoot at my gym at Integrated Athletics up in Sunshine Coast. Again, he's one of my best mates. And those photos sort of just went around the Sunshine Coast, the Queensland area. And Fakey was like, I'm a massive fan of yours. Would you like to join the media team for Torian Pro 2021? And I just went, what? Like, he goes, I think the message was, you're going to get an email from CrossFit Games. I'm like, okay, here we go. There's going to be spam. Like, it's not a real thing. And I got an email from one of the lovely team members saying, yeah, we'd love to have you on board for the weekend that is Torian Pro 2021. And yeah, like, it just knocked my socks off. I was just like, okay, this is where we got to go. And
it's crazy. I was gonna say, it's crazy how some opportunities just come out of nowhere, right? Like you're not even expecting it.
No, and that's what I love. Like I never expect anything out of this life, and some things pop up, I'm like, okay, like this is happening for a reason. And yeah, it gave me that opportunity to work alongside Veki, some great videographers and some great photographers, and to be front and center on the dance floor at Torian was just like nothing else. And that's how I met Kara personally, and like, the whole Australian crew, like Jade and I, like really good mates now. Like Ellie, everyone. It was just fantastic. And then from that, it snowballed into 2022, Torian Pro, and Tia came along, and I met Tia, and it, again, just snowballed into this, like, I don't know, like, I think because, again, picking those cherries from different aspects in fashion, especially Australian Fashion Week, I like to like present myself first. Say, hey, I'm Ben. Do you mind if I take some photos of you walking like just outside and things, and who you're wearing and stuff like that, before I shove a camera in your face? And so what I did with most of the athletes was walk behind the scenes, like, all right, guys, like, good luck. And like Gemma Hock and like a couple of the other girls was like, oh, like, this is nice. The cameraman's like saying like, good luck. And I was like, yeah, like, shit, I need to make myself known. I'm a 6'4" dude with a camera in your face. Like, and like James Newbury, I'm like, dude, like, if I'm in your way, like, let me know, like, just throw some chalk at me, or like tell me to move, because I want to get the shot, but I don't want to make you guys lose focus. And I think having that rapport with the athletes on the floor was like, it was fun for me, because like I could have fun banter with them, but also like they're there to do their job, we're here to do ours. And then again, that snowballed into what was the CrossFit Games. Kara's team asked me to join them to be a part of the family, and I couldn't say no. Like, I mean, it was just an amazing experience to be there with Kara, and her active eyewear team was just like so surreal. I'm so grateful for that opportunity to get me there and to meet you guys, and just see Carly and everyone just in their element. I was blown away. I mean, I know the first day I was like, oh, where do I stand? You know, like, what am I here for? I was like, no, you're here for a reason. Like, and then you yourself, Bennett, Scott, like everyone on the Mayhem team was like, took me under your wing. It was like, Benny, come on, you come with us. Let's do this. And like Alex Soka was like just amazing. Like everyone in that media room was super fun. And
yeah, it was a great time.
I guess that's how I got into it. Was, yeah, the main man Veki just gave me an opportunity, gave me a chance, and yeah, I'll be forever grateful to that man. And it's it's been a fantastic ride, and yeah.
Fun fact for the listeners: I did my first shoey with Benny at the after party. The shoey.
Man, I still have those videos on my phone.
You have the videos?
I have so many videos.
You have to send them to me. I haven't seen them.
Oh man, I got one of.
I just remember seeing a bunch of videos of Australians doing that, and I had the opportunity. I couldn't say no.
Man, it was so funny. It's like, do you guys just drink your drinks out of your shoes all the time?
All the time,
like, sure. Like, why don't
it's normal? Yeah.
I woke up in the morning with like no sock and my shoe was soaking wet. I'm like, what did we do? That was fun. That's
fun.
From what I can remember, it was a fun after party.
Yeah, it was. Benny, do you believe in the law of attraction?
I definitely do, my man.
Yeah, I've been going through like a rabbit hole in the last couple of days, just listening to stuff about that. It's so interesting, and I mean, I feel like even unconsciously, like, you attract things just because, not even thinking like, oh, the law of attraction, gotta manifest. It's just things that you just attract, right, by either wanting it really bad, or just being a good person, or just I don't know, just reaching out to people on social media, being like, hey, I love your work, like, what can I do to kind of like collab if we can, stuff like that. It's so interesting. It's definitely a topic I want to dive more into it. Hopefully in all our episodes with people have been, that actually like know a lot about the topic. I mean, I'm pretty new at it, but it's so interesting. Do you have any like experiences that you're like, that you really manifested it and it happened?
Yeah, I think it was very recently, about probably 4 months ago. 4 or 5 months ago, I went through a breakup, and I drove down to Sydney, and I was like, oh, it's just annoying. Like, I don't know. Asked of it, fakes. But I was like, I just need to reach out more into the fashion world. I need to let people know who I am, because not I need to meet this person, like they need to meet me. And you do dance on a line of cockiness and confidence. I feel that I do that well. But I went down south, and there's a label down there called PE Nation, a global company. Pip Edwards owns it. And I wanted to shoot Pip at the Australian Fashion Week a couple of months prior, but we just kept missing each other, and like, we got to talking and stuff. I was like, oh, like she's high class celebrity, like she'll never want to like get a photo from me. And then I completely lost that mentality. I was like, no, like just be confident, back yourself. Like you are literally here for a reason, and you do good work. Let your work show. So I messaged Pip and I was like, hey, like I'm in Sydney. Like if you want to catch up, I feel it'd be good if you got to know me. And she's like, well, why do you want to know Pip? I was like, no, like you need to know Beny. And we had a chat for ages, and we spoke about work and stuff like that. And it was just good to sort of have that confidence, and like I can speak to this person now. And if I want to do a collab with them, I could possibly reach out. And a couple other brands down there, like Zane Robe, good friends of mine, and RecGen, I caught up with them, and I was like, this is what I want to do for you guys and with you guys. I guess it's all about confidence. You just really need to, like, if it's a brand that you believe in, a brand that you feel that you can gel with, or a label or a person, like I'm always hitting content creators up saying, hey guys, like if you're in Queensland, let us know, like let's shoot, like let's just run some scenes, like it'll be super fun. And you learn so much from those people as well. And then they'll look through your stuff and go, shit, like you're actually, like, you're cool. Like you do some good stuff. And, but yeah, if it's something that you want to, I guess, attract more of, I'm a big advocate for the universe gives you what you need, not what you want. And if it's that time in your life where it's that chapter that's going to be, you're going to be so flat out, you won't be able to even like pull your head out of the sand, so to speak. That's what's going to happen. But if you're going to manifest it and it's something you want, speak about it. Like I know that my goal is 2 years ago, I would have said, this is just ridiculous. Why would I even want that on my whiteboard, you know? And now it's in big, bold letters saying that's my end goal. And if I read that every day, if I talk about it every day, it's going to happen. And just speak it, live it, breathe it. It's going to happen. If you want to work with, if you want to be on a media team, talk to everyone in there, get yourself well known, tell them what you can do for them.
Yeah, visualize it too.
Visualize it. That's it.
Dude, I have the crazy story. I don't know if we have time for this, but about like visualizing stuff and like manifesting it. It's like it's like kind of like one of those stories that it's once in a lifetime. Since I was like 10 years old, I've been obsessed with Blink-182, the band, right? And you know, I used to play music, was my thing when I was younger, and I used to play like their songs and stuff. And I would see like videos of you know, people like fans playing on stage with like their bands, and I'll be like, you know, like one day I'll play with Blink-182 when I was little, whatever. Yeah. I mean, years after, it's 2019, and they're touring again, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go to one of their shows. And then I'm like, well, it'll be really cool if at some point, you know, I get to like play with them. You know, I've been thinking about this moment for a while. 2 shows before the one I was going to, they bring somebody. Blink-182 has always been a band that they don't get people on stage. Like they just been, you know, one of those bands like Green Day, they get people on stage all the time. Blink doesn't. Yeah. 2 nights before the show I was going to, they get somebody on stage, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy, you know. And the guy was kind of like messing up on the guitar, and the musicians, like the bass player and the guitar player, were getting kind of confused because they hear everything on their ears. Yeah. And they kick him out of the stage. People went crazy online, like, dude, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, you shouldn't do something like this. It was just a fan, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm glad that wasn't me, right? Then the night before my show, they go, I think it was Tampa, and they get somebody else on stage, and they're like, hey, you know, like whatever happened, like I'm sorry, you know, like, yeah, but let's get somebody else. And I'm thinking, I'm like, they're gonna start doing this now. They're trying to, you know, like give back to the fans. Yeah. They're trying to get people on stage. And then I start thinking, I'm gonna be next. Like I'm gonna get on stage whenever they come here. And I mean, I wasn't playing guitar that often at the moment. I grabbed my guitar, started practicing, just thinking in my mind, I'm gonna be on stage tomorrow. I'm gonna be on stage
That's
tomorrow.
sick.
And I was talking to my buddy, and he's like, "What? Oh, I'm just playing guitar. I'm practicing some of her songs." And he's like, "Dude, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I mean, you never know. Gotta be prepared." We're driving there. It's a 5-hour drive. And I'm talking to my friend. I'm like, "Dude, I think I'm gonna play with them tonight." I was just like thinking about it. And even the
Yeah.
night before, I remember thinking about it, almost like such a like surreal experience. I'm like, it's gonna happen. I was just sure about it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And my friend was kind of thinking like, "Oh, you're crazy. Like, things like that just don't happen, right?" And
Yeah.
and I mean, long story short, like I told the guy during the sound check, like, "Hey, I want to play with you guys." He's like, "No, it's not gonna happen." Then we go to a meet and greet, and it's Travis Barker there with Matt Skiba and Mark Hoppus, and Mark says, "What's your name?" And I say, "Carlos." And then he calls the guitar player and he says, "Hey, Matt, Carlos wants to play your guitar tonight." I was like, "Oh, this would be for the show." I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then they start asking me, "Yeah, what song you want to play?" I'm like, I mean, I don't know, whatever you got." I blanked, right? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. Obviously, that happens, and then you don't know what's gonna happen, right? You're like, I might get up there, right? So show starts. They go halfway through their set. They finish one song, and before the song called "All the Small Things," which is the one that they let the guy play the night before, happens. Mark stops and he's like, "Hey, Travis, let's get somebody on stage." And I'm like, "Oh fuck, this is the moment." And then Mark says, "Travis, who should we get on stage?" And we're talking about Travis Barker. Like,
Yeah.
he's been my idol since I'm like 10, right?
Yeah.
And Travis like, I have a video of this too. Like, somebody was recording, and Travis like, "The kid from Soundcheck, the guy over there with the hat, that one." And Mark's like, "Yeah, this guy right here. Come up on stage." Dude, the security guard grabs me on stage, and I played a song with them, and
That's
dude,
hectic.
it's the craziest story. Like, I still think about that as like the happiest moment of my life, because it's just one of those things that I just like manifest and visualize for so long and end up happening. And I mean, it's
That's
it's a
so
thing
good.
that maybe only 5 people have done in their lives, right? Like, play with Blink-182, and it's crazy. It's absolutely mind blowing. So after that
That's
moment, I'm like, everything's possible in this world, like in this life. Like, if you really want something bad, like it can happen, dude. It's
oh,
crazy.
100%, man. That's such a sick story. That's
Yeah,
so cool, bro.
I posted
Bro.
some stuff on my IG. I have a cool picture. Let me
Yeah,
show you real quick.
that's so good, man.
Yeah. So after that, I'm like, dude, I mean, we
Anything's
can
possible.
anything's possible, literally.
That's it. But like you said, you go speak about it, live it, visualize it, and it's gonna happen. Like, again, never thought I'd make it to. Come on.
That's me and Travis Barker.
What the heck?
There's like videos too. If like I have it on my, oh, the video's not playing, but
Oh,
that's
my
Mark. That's
man.
me. Dude,
Stop it.
absolutely crazy. So
That's
yeah,
so
if
sick, man.
everybody listening,
Yeah.
like, things can like really happen. You just gotta like believe it. You just gotta manifest it. Law of attraction. As Benny says, not something that you just have to like, "Oh yeah, I hope this happens," right? You gotta take action. You
Yeah.
gotta think about it and do whatever it takes to get it. Like you were saying, if you want to be a part of a team, like, just reach out to them.
Yeah.
Visualize yourself being a part of the team. Just think like, what's gonna happen if you're a part of the team, and that what's gonna help you too is whenever if you get the opportunity, you already visualize it so much that you're already gonna know in some way how to act in
Yeah.
that situation, because you already visualize, you already lived it in some way, right?
That's it. It's like it becomes not scripted, but yeah, you already know what you're gonna do. But
Yeah,
I mean, there's a saying, it's like good things come to those who wait. But my dad always says better things come to those who fucking get off their ass and do it.
yeah,
It's so true,
absolutely,
because
yeah,
yeah, you can wait for things to happen, but at the same time, like the person who's got off their ass and actually going to do something about it, it might be extra hours behind the lens. It might be extra hours of editing, color grading, finding your stuff, or putting in that message to go, hey guys, like I'd love to be part of the team. In content world, yeah, you can do some free stuff at the start, but know your worth as well. Know that
Mm.
you're going to bring some value to that team. And as my best mate Ed always says, like, you get so far in life being a good fucking human being.
Yeah,
It's not hard. And like no one wants to work with a jerk. And so if you're a good human and you want something, show that you're a good human, and good things will come. Like
Absolutely.
I don't think I would have got on with you guys if I was I'm just here to take photos and stuff. Like shit, I wanted to hear all about your stuff like from the get go. I was like, boys, like how are we doing? And like teaching me all slang.
Couldn't agree more. Dude, I feel like every opportunity I've gotten in my life, it's just because of the relationships I've built, the connections I've built, and it just, nobody gets. Oh well, I guess some people can get opportunities without being a good person, but I'm saying like it's gonna open so many more doors if you're just a good person. You think about others, not only yourself. It's just gonna, opportunities are endless.
That's it, my man.
Beny, we've been on for 1 hour 15 minutes. I'm sorry that I talked a little bit about that experience, but
No,
I wanted to share once we started talking about the manifestation stuff. Dude, I really, really, really appreciate your time. 1 hour 15 minutes, just sharing all those good moments with us, and I really hope again this brings some awareness for everybody listening. If you listen to this episode, you really liked it, the Instagram is right there. It's at Beny Watson. Reach out to him, send him a DM, tell him that you enjoyed the episode. And if you need to talk to somebody, like we're here for you, or you can always reach out to your friends. And it's always good to talk to people and ask how they're doing.
Yeah. It ain't weak to speak, guys. Always speak up.
Beny, thank you so much. You want to add anything on after, before we cut it?
I think we covered everything, man. But yeah, I guess in the mental health space, it's it's not weak to speak, and it is okay to not be okay. If you're having a shit day, that's fine. We all have them. And yeah, don't think life's all bells and whistles for everybody. It's tough. Everyone's going through stuff. So you're not alone. You're never alone.
There it is. All right. Thanks everybody listening. I'm gonna post this on Spotify right after. So again, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you share it with people. Send it out, like it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It's been growing a little bit, and it's just cool to see people like appreciating what we're doing. And the every time somebody sends a message talking about like the episode stuff like that, it's really cool.
That's sick. No, I'm proud of you, man. So you're doing very well, and you be proud of yourself too. You're doing
Appreciate
very well.
you, Beny. Thank you so much. All right, thanks everybody listening. Thank you, Beny.
Peace.
Peace.